All right, so I am going to call this meeting of the Policy Subcommittee to order. So I will read the checklist to get things going. Checklist to ensure meetings are compliant with the right to know law during the state of emergency. As chair of the Sanborn Regional School Board's Policy Subcommittee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone, with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the Sanborn Regional School Board Policy Subcommittee have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 1-646-558-8656. Meeting ID 966-8705-7834, or by clicking on the following website address: www.youtube.com/c/SRSD meeting videos. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing this meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the Sanborn Regional School District at www.sau17.net. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 978-642-8541 or email helpdesk@sau17.net. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking roll call attendance, where each member states their presence. Please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. So we'll start, Tammy.
Tammy Mahoney, I'm at home. There are people in the house, nobody in the room at the moment.
Okay. Bob.
Oh, I have to answer. I'm here by myself in my office. That's cool.
Yes. Tom.
Get all the answers.
I'm here at the SAU office alone as well. Thank you.
Okay. And Dawn Dutton, and I am at home in a room by myself. So now we can review the minutes of 9/2. Tammy, I don't know if you've had a chance to review those and see if there's anything you wanted to change, modify, add to those.
Move to approve the minutes.
I guess I can second that, right?
Yeah.
Second. So roll call vote. Tammy?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So those are approved. Thank you, Tammy. So new business, policy JLCA. So Bob just wanted to make a slight tweak to the policy. So Bob, if you want to just talk about that for a second, and then
Sure.
we can. I did share it. So Tammy, you did get that copy, correct? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, we've run into some issues when we passed this policy about almost exactly 2 years ago. And apparently it was new to a lot of people this fall when we ran into it with our athletes this fall. And that was a requirement that students have a physical every school year, is the way the wording was in there. And that caused an issue of what's a school year? So we made it through the fall season, and we wanted to tweak that to get it ready. But with the kind of craziness we're getting into it now, but that's okay. And what we're hoping to do is allow parents to have a physical that would be roughly every year. What I'm hearing from a lot of parents is that some of them can get their kids in for physicals kind of every year on the year, and some of them have to be after a year. So they might be, their health insurance provider may say, if you have a physical exam on February 1st this year, you can't have your child in for a physical exam until after February 1st of the following year. So we wanted to give them a little flexibility, but also have them relatively current on a physical. That's where the idea of having a physical exam, not every school year, but every no older than 13 months old came from, so that we have one that's relatively recent, but at the same time is also gives parents a little flexibility to use their own healthcare provider, not having to run to urgent cares, which happened all fall for parents who were wonderful about it. So we kind of do both things by making a slight change to the wording here.
Any discussion? Tammy, do you have any?
No, it looked pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah.
Tammy,
Yeah,
I saw you nodding your head. Have you had this issue with your children before where you knew?
Physicals, my
Yeah.
my kids both have summer birthdays, so
Yeah.
August, so sometime late August, my son, so yeah,
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
insurance piece, I think, is really important. So I was fine with Bob's suggestion too.
Yeah, and as soon as he said to me why he was thinking this 13 months, I was like, yep, makes complete sense.
Mhm.
So it really helps out. It really helps out all the families in the district. It's great. And it makes it a little bit easier, I think, for parents to keep track of, did I get my kid a physical? Do they need a physical? When your kids' physicals are due. So it's just going to make it a lot easier for everybody to keep track of.
Well, we like
So,
that, especially in this day and age.
we appreciate that very much.
I'm hoping to bring online a new software system, if I can talk to some people about a implementation for this spring,
Mhm.
that will allow parents to directly upload that physical copy that a lot of people can access through a portal, and just take a copy of that and upload the PDF into the system, which the school nurse will be able to see, the athletic trainer will be able to see, I'll be able to see, and that system will also nag parents 60, 30, 90, 60, 30, 15, 7 days out from when the kids are out of compliance. So it'll be a lot easier to keep track of it for everybody.
I love it already. The only thing I would say is just double check with Patty, because we don't want to be redundant with Alma.
Yep.
Alma does so much that we're only in the infancy of Alma.
Yeah.
And we're finding out that it does even more as we go. And they may have a module for that, they may not. But I just, whatever we can do to keep stuff located in one spot. And if Alma doesn't have a module for that, it may have a spot that you can place a link so that parents can look at it through Alma and connect to it, right? So the first phase is to get Alma rolled out. The second phase is to use it and play with it. The third phase is to figure out how to get it to do as much as possible in one-stop shopping for everyone involved. So.
Great. So if I understand correctly, we just can kind of take a straw poll here on how we feel, and then we just make a recommendation to the board to change.
The committee
modify
actually
the policy?
votes. You guys
vote?
would vote to
Okay.
accept the changes as written by Mr. Dawson, or you could amend just like a regular board meeting.
Okay. All right. And then do we need to bring it to the board members for their approval?
Yep, that'll be at the next board meeting, so we can put it on the agenda for the next board meeting.
Perfect. Okay.
We're in
great.
good shape for this season right now. I've got
Right.
one or two kids, some of who haven't even come out for their sports yet. So
Okay. So I guess,
Move to approve.
perfect.
Yeah, there's only
And-
two of you, so it's kind of awkward. So,
I know.
yeah.
And I'll
Dawn
second.
and then you vote. Yeah.
All right. So roll call vote. Tammy?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, so that moves us to goals discussion. So clearly we are in January, and we have things that are probably going to change up in March, because we don't know where we're going to be in March for who's going to be on the board and how things are going, or on this subcommittee, how things are going to go. So instead of trying to create big, huge goals, because clearly, policy has been put on the back burner because we've
Yeah.
had so many other pressing issues. And fortunately, Tammy was one of our wonderful policy subcommittee members that helped over the past 3 years to get everything in compliance. So there were no real major pressing issues that needed to be dealt with, so that our teachers, administrators could all really focus on teaching and learning. So thank you, Tammy, for being part of that for the past 3 years. It really, appreciate that. And I'm so grateful for all the work that was done. So because of that, this committee kind of took a back burner. So I don't know if we want to just simply have something kind of like we did with personnel, where it's a generalized, we will be here to, support the administration, and any policies that come up that need to be dealt with between now and March, we will, act on right away. Instead of coming up with this huge long plan of how we're going to do things, because we don't know how the next chair is going to, or who's going to be the chair next time, how they're going to want to do things going forward. So I just wanted to, I guess, get your opinion, Tammy, on what you think about that.
I mean, it's always an interesting question, what the year is, what comprises a year, when we set our goals. You can set the year based on like the school board term, which is March to March or March to February, or school year, which I prefer for the ISA committee. I look at it as a whole school year.
Okay.
But I guess my question is, are there policies bubbling up? What sort of policy changes have been coming from NHSBA? And
I haven't seen anything major coming in. There was one policy that was brought up. I believe it was IFK. It's about grading that will need to be looked at and addressed. But I think that will also kind of go hand in hand with everything that's going to be happening on the ISA committee. So fortunately, since you and I are both on the ISA committee, I think we'll know what needs to be dealt with there, so we can hopefully in turn bring that over to policy and get that handled quickly when it needs to be done. But other than that, there hasn't been anything pressing that I have seen come in to this point. So,
and I'll just say that historically, I talked with Dawn and Tammy. I think you know this too, that there was a batch of policies that we kind of had cooking that we might be able to get done over the next few months. And I don't, unless there's a dramatic shift that I'm unaware of, my hope is that the two of you would stay on this committee and help kind of shepherd into, because I'm hoping that we're going to get to some level of normalcy by September, right? So there's,
we all hope that, don't we?
Yeah. And I certainly think that the I policies are going to be very important. They are a big conversation that need to occur. And then there was a group of policies that we had worked on right before COVID hit that Phyllis had almost ready to go. And it seems like every time that I think that we're going to kind of be able to do some standard work that kind of just helps us to move this, I really want to keep this ball rolling, because if we get into a solid practice of going through a certain number of policies annually, then we never really have to worry about compliance, because you got one group that you're just reviewing as a natural process, and ones that come up like the ones that Jody brought up this fall that were kind of an emergency type of thing. And that always happens. Laws change and then policies have to be revised. So I think that I appreciate the support and the flexibility this year. We have done hundreds and hundreds of thought policies since I've been here, and it's been fantastic, which it really did help, but there is still a lot of work to do. And it really is going to fall, the I policies around instruction are going to fall into that bucket of part of the strategic plan combined with ISA, combined with this committee and the whole board and the community, right? Like what are we going to do about instruction for the future, which is really my favorite part of my work, right? So I'm really excited to talk about things that help kids learn. And I love to see kids learning and teachers thriving and things happening, and we'll get there. This too shall pass. So I think that the key for me right now is to, Dawn, if you want to meet in the next week and take a look at what was in that packet that Phyllis sent you, I certainly feel like I have the capacity to do that now that we've got a lot of things that needed to be done this fall settled.
Good.
And then we
Okay.
can maybe make a plan to whittle through those and get them done at least in the next couple of months.
Yes.
And I would
Okay,
think
great.
that unless the board chair has a different feeling than I do, my hope would be that the committees would stay kind of stable. Stability is so important to an organization, especially during a crisis, you know, and Tammy, if you're willing to stay on this committee, having someone who's been on it is always really helpful.
Mhm.
We've done a lot of good, hard work together, you know? So I'll advocate that we kind of have some stability for the rest of the year, Dawn. That would be my hope.
Okay,
I
great.
think in this instance too, for next year, that having a collaboration between policy and ISA is a really good idea, because we're going to have to tackle those I policies, and it's so like interrelated, and it just will
Absolutely.
save time.
Yeah. So then, that being said, if you're gonna, advocate for that, then Tammy, at the next meeting, would you like to, maybe between now and the next meeting, we can kind of toss some things back and forth with Charlie. We can go through email and maybe come up with some potential ideas for timelines, and then maybe discuss them at the next meeting and kind of set some goals for the remainder of the school year. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Okay,
Sure.
all right. And I'll meet
Dawn,
with Tom.
Let's meet next week. We can even do it
Yep.
over Zoom, and we'll talk to
Okay,
Phyllis,
perfect.
and we'll kind of see what we got, and we'll get rolling. Okay.
Yeah, that would be great if we can get something set. I just didn't want to overstep because I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like, only knowing things kind of can change in March. I didn't want to go and overstep and say, hey, let's set all these goals that could
Thanks.
go for the next however long. I'm still a little new, trying to figure it all out. So I'm trying not to overstep my bounds here. So
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate, really, again, like it today has been unbelievable. So we're just, every day is so different. We never know what's coming, right? We came back from break and everyone had kind of relaxed a little bit, and it felt like I didn't feel like I slowed down that much, but boy, did it hit me personally on Monday and Tuesday how much I had actually relaxed a little bit. And all the administrators were like, whoa, we actually did take a little bit of a break, but you're so worried about everyone and everything that's happening that it's hard to feel it. Do you know what I mean? Like we all worry right now about everyone. We just want people to be safe and healthy and to learn as much as they can until this is over. And so I think that we can tackle, I'd like to try to get one letter done, whatever it was that we were working on. I think, was it G, or I can't remember, but Dawn, we'll meet and we'll make a plan.
it's been so long, and we were supposed to have a couple meetings, but then they have to, we've had to postpone because more pressing issues came up.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's been a little challenging, but
Yep. Thanks,
we'll just
everyone.
keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I don't mind kind of if summer does actually slow down, because last summer it didn't at all. It was worse. But if it does, then we can always do some work, get some things ready and really roll some stuff out, because November and December are always tricky with the budget and all that stuff. So really the prime times to get policy work done, just from a calendar perspective, are September, October, and then January through April. Those are really good times to kind of get lots of little policy stuff done, in my mind, right? And sometimes May can be good too. So it just depends on the year. So let's try to tackle what we've got kind of almost ready to go, Dawn. We'll connect this next week, okay?
Okay,
Right.
great. Yeah. All right.
I gotta go because I've got a board member calling me, and it's probably important considering the meeting tonight. So I probably want to call him back.
Yes, that's okay. And we're just about done. So,
Okay.
Okay. So then I will meet with Tom and we'll get a bunch of stuff laid out. And then at the next meeting, we'll put goals on there, and I'll try to come in with a plan so that we can talk about it, make sure everybody's on board with it, see if there are any modifications that need to be made, and then we can start moving forward on policies from there. Is there anything that you would like to see on the future agenda, Tammy?
No, that's,
Okay.
Nope. Just as long as we don't have policies, I'm kind of surprised but maybe the legislature just hasn't really been meeting that much.
I think that's what it really is. I think everything has kind of slowed down due to COVID. Because I was supposed to be put on an email thread so that if anything new or pressing came up, I was supposed to get emailed, and I haven't seen anything come through. But I'll find out next week when I'm sitting down with Tom, and we'll go through everything and make sure there isn't anything that is missing, and go from there. So I guess then our next meeting will be February 3rd, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. And this meeting is adjourned.